Hello, good evening everyone. We'll start our session. This is a session on banking sector in India. So we'll just try to browse the banking domain in India, what all functions bank does, then what all areas in which banking is performing their role. And now since we are seeing a very gradual and tectonic movement in your demonetization effect, so definitely banking sector will be a topic which can be of concern in all your group discussions or interviews. So before banking we start, let us discuss what really banking is. When we say banking, then banking sector in India is having primarily two functions. On one side it has to take the deposits, and on another side it has to lend the money and advances. So when we talk about banking as an institute or a mechanism, it is an institute which takes deposits, safeguards the money of the depositors, and then advances it. We all know that the rates of interest given on deposits and rate of interest on which advances are being made, they are having a difference. And from this difference only we get the word profit. Let us be very clear in our approach that no institute can survive if there is no profit. So whether they are public sector banks or they are private sector banks or they are cooperative sector banks, finally all can thrive only if profit is being made. And this differential rate of interest charged between deposits and advances made is the profit of the organization. Clear? So now the next topic which we will discuss is types of banks in India. Well, Abhishek, the interest rate at present is not being decided by the RBI. It is being decided by the individual banks depending upon their own assets and liability conditions. So here we use two words, asset and liability. So what do we mean by assets and liability? We will discuss. So whatever deposit comes to the bank, it is a liability for the bank, because on the deposit bank is supposed to pay the interest, and it will pay you 4%, 5%, 6% according to its own strength, according to its own fiscal capacity. The assets which are being given, the loans which are being advanced, they are the assets for the bank, because from there they will generate revenue and they will gain their profit. So how we decide the interest rates are the individual phenomena of the banks, and the word we use for it is deregulation. That means the banks are being authorized to decide their own deposit rates and their own advances rates. They are being deregulated. So every bank, according to its own financial capacity, according to its own financial position, according to its own assets and liability ratio, they decide on their interest rates. Done? Is it clear? Alright. Yes, you all are clear now that what are assets and what are your liabilities. Now we'll move ahead. What we will decide is, we will discuss the types of banks. No, Akash, asset is not the money which bank has got from deposits. Asset is the one which they have already advanced, and from there they will get the interest. Like if you talk about house loan, you have taken 20 lakh rupees house loan from your bank, then you will be given the interest rate of 10%, 12% according to the individual bank. That thing is your asset. Yes, all these loans, they are the assets for the bank. So when we talk about types of banks, there are 4 or 5 different types of banks which function in Indian territory. First of all is central bank. Central Bank of India is RBI, Reserve Bank of India. Every country, every government have their central bank, whether it's India, US, UK, Germany, France. The bank which is central to the operations of a country is central bank. For India, it is Reserve Bank of India. Second category of banks are scheduled commercial banks. These banks are further bifurcated into these 4 types. Yes, we will discuss the functions of RBI after some time. So then we will be able to discuss more about the RBI. In the meantime, we will discuss the types of banks. Fine, Vaibhav? First type of scheduled commercial bank is public sector banks. SCB are scheduled commercial banks. Among scheduled commercial banks, we have four types. We have public sector banks, in which the majority is of the government, more than 50%. Second types of banks in scheduled commercial are private banks, where the ownership is not with government. Third type of scheduled banks, by majority I mean more than 50% of the amount in the bank is of the government of India. It can vary from 51% to 90% to 100%. Yes. Third type of banks are foreign banks. We all know Citibank, Deutsche Bank, HSBC Bank. So these are the banks which are functioning in India, but all their headquarters are in different countries. And last type of banks are regional rural banks. Regional rural banks. FBs is foreign banks. Royal Bank of Scotland, true. RBS is also one of them. So we have discussed till now two types of banks: central bank, that is RBI, and scheduled commercial banks, in which we have further four classifications. We have public sector banks, we have private banks, we have foreign banks, and then we have RRBs, regional rural banks. Priyanka will come to your question, Mudra, in some time. Just wait. Fine. Third type of bank which have is cooperatives. So all of us we have seen Punjab State Cooperative Bank, Chandigarh UT Cooperative Banks, Haryana State Cooperative Banks. So these are the banks which function within a particular state. They are to be registered within the state itself, and their presence is not pan-Indian. RRBs are regional rural banks. Regional means Kshetriya, rural means Grameen, and banks are again bank. So Kshetriya Grameen Bank, regional rural banks. Fourth very important types of bank is developmental bank. RRBs function have their limitation. Since they are rural banks, so they try to provide the banking facilities in the rural areas. Since we all live in an urban area, so we are having most of the PSUs here. But the unbanked areas or the areas which are further in depth of rural areas, so they also need banking services. So RRBs try to cater to the need of the rural people. Cooperative banks and RRBs. Cooperative banks will work only within a state. They are, again, important part is they are formed by the registration within the state. RRBs licenses are being given by RBI. You are right, Navneet. We can come to the questions later also. Yes, cooperatives are also government banks. Now another important type of bank which is very important from any GD point of view is developmental banks. So developmental banks have to be defined in a way that these banks do not perform normal banking transactions. What I mean by normal banking transactions is these banks do not open the accounts, these banks do not make checks, these banks do not have demand drafts. No, Akash, we are not talking about ADB right now. We'll discuss, just wait. So when we talk about developmental bank, the first such bank in India to be discussed is NABARD. Hope we all have listened. Yeah. Yes, Shibashish, NABARD. So NABARD is National Bank for Agricultural and Rural Development. So now this bank has a developmental role. It needs to cater, it needs to provide service, it needs to do development of the assigned area, which is agriculture and rural development. Definitely, Hari, this can be a question. NABARD. Another type of bank which we often hear is SIDBI. When we talk about SIDBI, Small Industries Development Bank of India. So the definition itself says that this type of bank will develop the industrial sector, and among industrial sector it will try to focus on micro, medium and small enterprises. Srinath, the full form of NABARD I already spoken is National Bank for Agricultural and Rural Development. SIDBI is Small Industrial Development Bank of India. Alright, third type of bank is Exim Bank, Export and Import Bank. So when we are talking about Exim Bank, that means it has a developmental role in providing economic development via exports and imports, means trade, means commerce. So this particular type of bank will cater to the export and import requirements for the companies. DCB, Sayan, you are calling about Doshek Bank. What is the full form of DCP? Another type of bank which we are discussing is Mudra Bank. So Mudra is again micro units development and refinancing agency. The micro units word is again very focusing. That means the units which need small amount of advance, which need small amount of loans, can go and take their financial requirement from Mudra Bank. So overall we can discuss that these are the banks which will, Exim Bank is Akhilesh export import. So these are the type of banks which fulfill the financial needs, the financial requirements of a particular area. Okay, Rohit, Mudra full form is Micro Units Development and Refinancing Agency. So these are the developmental banks. Exactly, Samya. They provide loans for the developments of different sectors and do not perform any banking transactions. That means their client is not me or you. We are not the end clients of these banks. We are not authorized to go to take loan. We are not authorized to go and open the accounts. So we are not the end clientele for these types of banks. It's not like this, Neha, that these functions are not done by PSPs. What we are trying to say is that PSP banks will provide loan for all kind of sectors, whether it is agriculture or it is urban or it is car loan or it is house loan or it is industrial loan. So a bank will provide loans for everything. But these developmental banks, they are having target specific, object specific, task specific work. Yes, all developmental banks are the government agencies. Developmental cooperative bank, I guess it will be under cooperative section. And when cooperative is there, so that means, yeah, development is a word, no doubt, but that is not a particular category. If it is a cooperative bank, then it will be a cooperative under the listing of cooperatives. Priyanka, you are correctly saying that Mudra provides loan. That's why they are there. They need to develop the micro unit sector. But when you will go for opening of your account and depositing money, that facility is not being provided by Mudra. That is what I am saying. Source of revenue, Shivam, for developmental banks is again government. Government in its budget, they allocate money to different developmental banks for the year. Like for this year, NABARD was given 20,000 crore rupees for irrigation. SIDBI was given 10,000 crore rupees for Startup India and Stand Up India. Akhilesh, it's like this banking awareness is important because in personal interview also you will be judged and gauged upon your awareness. So if you are not aware about the happenings around you, like this new government, NDA government has opened new types of functions. They are starting up new programs. They are starting up Mudra. They are starting up Stand Up India, Startup India. So definitely if you are aware, you are having knowledge, you have good terminologies, so it can be of advantage. There is no harm. Shina, surety of loans cannot be said like this. It is your DPR. When I say DPR, I mean detailed project report. So you have to develop your project report before going for take loans. What is NPO, Shivam? You need to repeat your question. No, Surbhi. The profit motive is not there because they are not having individual revenue resources. The definition of profit comes when you have both revenue and expenditures. But these developmental banks are only there to develop, to expand. इनके पास रेवेन्यू का ऑप्शन नहीं होता है, और रेवेन्यू का ऑप्शन नहीं होगा तो प्रॉफिट का सवाल नहीं बनता. What their objective is that the amount which is being disbursed to these banks for developmenting the certain areas, they perform those duties and they supervise, they monitor their developmental business. It's like NABARD we can talk about. Akash, for your example, your question is who can take loan from such banks like NABARD is a developmental bank. It has been given now 20,000 crore rupees for irrigation development benefit. NABARD can provide this money to different regional rural banks. So all those farmers, all those agricultural producing class, if they want irrigation loans, they can go to the regional rural banks. And rural banks will be granted money or will be provided money from NABARD. So this is how the entire chain works. Karthik, your question is, from where do they get the money for giving loan then? Government is providing, no? That's what I told you. Government in its budget, they sanction the amount to be given to different banks. And then those banks, they are being provided amount by RBI. Yes, they do have interest rates. Post offices, Aru, are not proper banks. Though we are in a planning to convert post offices, but overall they are not a banks because they cannot issue your checks, they cannot issue your demand drafts, they cannot provide you loans for each and every type. Though the deposit functions are being performed by banks, but overall they are not the proper commercial banks, we can say. Akash, if I want loan for my startup, so I will apply for it at SIDBI. I will not say that you need to go to SIDBI. What you need to go through is the organizations which are linked with SIDBI. SIDBI itself will provide loan to other industries, or there can be option you can go to the SIDBI website, and if they say approval or application for a loan, that you need to check on the website. Kanan, your question is why interest rate? Do the money need to be repaid to development banks? It's not like this, Kanan, ki they need to be repaid. But what is important is, like let us say again an organization, SIDBI. SIDBI is having its staff. SIDBI is having its infrastructure. SIDBI is having its own source of expenditures. So to meet that expenditures, they need a certain amount of money also other than the one sanctioned by your government. So this is the process that they give it to other banks on a nominal rate of interest, and from that their organization, their salaries, their infrastructure costs, their operational costs, they are being covered. Exactly, Samya, you can think of it like a storing house. Ompri, your question is NABARD and SIDBI have several branches. Yes, they are having not branches, but they have regional offices instead of branches, because again the branch is a concept of commercial bank where every single individual can go and transact. So these banks, they are having their regional offices in almost all the state capitals. Alright, moving ahead, we'll come to RBI. Yes, Kanan, state governments also take loans from NABARD and then they pay interest. This is true. Alright. So next topic is RBI and functioning of RBI. We all know that RBI is a central bank, so it need to perform all the important functions. So one by one we will discuss the functions of RBI. We'll just first write down and then we'll try to go through in series. Alright class. Saurabh, your answer, if the government gives money to these banks to complete a certain project for a certain purpose, who ensures its result? They are the quarterly reports, half-yearly reports, annual reports. These all reports are being submitted by these banks, and then you have again auditing agencies are there, accounting agencies are there. They review the results. Now I have written 4 important functions of RBI. We have written monetary policy, regulatory, currency, forex. So first of all, we'll try to cover the last three, regulatory. So as the word itself says that RBI regulates the functioning of all types of financial institutions in country. Let us say commercial banks, let us say finance companies, let us say non-banking finance companies, whatever type of organization or companies are performing financial activities, they all are under the supervision, guidance and monitoring of RBI. RBI has the reach to check the accounts of every organization, to perform the supervision of every organization, to reprimand every organization if certain anomalies are found in their functioning, in their avoiding the guidelines of RBI. By regulation we mean that RBI is being provided with proper powers to check the accounts, to regulate the functioning, to monitor the accounts and also to penalize and reprimand the defaulting organizations. Got it? Shilpa, your question is, government has granted this much amount for these schemes. When I get a loan from affiliated bank, I pay back the principal and yes, you need to pay. So does the principal of itna crore go? This money will always be in circulation, Shilpa, na? This is not like this that something is absolute. You have taken a certain loan for say 10 years or 20 years. It will keep on coming and it will be keep on giving to other needful persons. So this amount will always be in circulation. It stays with both affiliated banks also, and then the originally the developmental banks, he also has to keep his accounts. Finally the amount has to be granted and economy has to be pushed. This is the function. The government does not give you amount to get it back. Try to understand the concept. You took a loan to start up your setup to make smartphones. Done. You are manufacturing now smartphones by taking loan from XYZ bank. You are making phones, then people like we are buying your phones, and this is how economy is being going on. So government is not focusing on that Shilpa has taken a loan of 50,000 rupees and she need to pay us that 50,000 rupees. Your interest will be gone to the bank from which you have taken loan, and that amount will again be given to some other person. So this money which has once been given, it is a circulation. Got it? Yes, this is their subsidy you can say, or you can say the expenditures which the government is making. Coming back to regulatory functions, is regulatory function clear? Just reply. Alright, moving ahead. The second point I have written is currency. By currency we mean that who is authorized to print currency. So one funda is obviously clear, that it's only RBI who has the power and who is authorized to print new currency. Abhishek, the role of RBI in interest rates, that we will discuss once we will discuss these monetary policy, which I left for now. Another 10 minutes we will start with it. So just wait. Alright, the important thing about currency is, why do we need to print currency? Basic question. The answer lies in that in India the system of budget is a deficit budget. When we say deficit budget, what we mean is that expenditures are greater than revenue. I am repeating, expenditures are greater than revenue. For example, in my budget I have the expenditure of 100 crores and my total revenue from taxes is coming out to be 80 crores. Now these 20 crore rupees are to be financed to meet the budget requirements. So first point to discuss is, why do we have a deficit budget in India? The answer lies to bring efficiency. In a very plain layman format, let us think it over. If revenue is more and expenditure is less, we will try to overspend the money, we will be not economical and we will not utilize the money efficiently. But when the expenditures are more and revenue is less, then we will be economical also and we will try to utilize with maximum efficiency. So this is the concept of deficit budget. So now that 20 crore rupees, it need to be financed. But who will finance? The government can either take a loan from institutes like World Bank or IMF or Asian Development Bank, one option. The second option is they can go and take the money from direct government. I took it from US, I may take it from Australia, I may take it from France, government to government. And the third point is you can print new currencies. So how much to print is being decided by RBI. RBI tries to evaluate different parameters. Statistically, they try to see how much currency need to be printed, how much loan to be borrowed, how much loan they can borrow so that inflation is good, so that inflation is within the proper parameters, so that our rupee value does not diminish. So all these factors are being considered by RBI in deciding how much currency has to be printed. Agreed or not? Reply. Alright. Abhishek, deficit financing causes inflation, that's true. But a certain amount of inflation is always necessary for the economy. What we try to say is that inflation should not reach beyond the target parameters. So if we talk about India, then the permitted range of inflation is from 4 to 6%. 4 to 6% of inflation, we are fine. Beyond 6, it goes to 7, 8, 10, double digit. Then it is a matter of concern. Priyesh, your question is, if we spend more, government gets more money through taxes, right? It's not exactly like this, Priyesh. Some of the expenditures, they do result in taxes, but certain expenditures of the government, they are not for revenue purpose, they are for social service. Like if I am expending 10,000 crores on a scheme called midday meal scheme, I am providing nutritious food to school children. They are not giving me money, they are not giving me any revenue, but because we are a socialist state, we are a social country, we need to do these social welfare measures. We have expenditures which are more and revenues are less. Agreed? Umang, demonetization we will discuss in the last slot. First we will try to do this RBI only. Inflation, Hari, try to understand what is inflation. When we say inflation, Shibashi, is only you are paying school fees because you are studying in a convent school. The government schools, they are not paying fees. They are a social measure. So inflation, try to understand inflation class. Inflation is defined as the rise in the price of the commodities. Inflation can be triggered by two ways. It can be push factor, it can be pull factor. When we say push factor, what we mean is inflation has been caused due to supply constraints. When we mean pull factors, what we mean is inflation is due to more demand. We'll try to go through this by an example. Focus. Today we have pulses at 100 rupees per kg and we have a demand, let us say 20 tons a year. 100 rupees per kg pulses, 20 tons a demand per year. Now let us say next year my demand goes to 25 tons and my production is still 20 tons. So this is a pull factor inflation because your demand has increased and not your production. This is pull side inflation. Now try to understand the second point. Let us say our demand is same 20 tons, but due to a crop failure or due to poor monsoon or due to your less sowing of pulses, it may be possible that your production comes down 15 tons. So your requirement has not changed, it is 20 tons only, but your production has changed, it has dropped down to 15 tons and now it is a matter of push factor. your supply is not proper to meet the requirement. So this is how inflation comes in picture. Clear? Guri, by push I mean your supply side constraint. Your requirement was earlier also 20 tons. Your requirement right now is also 20 tons. But last year you were able to meet the demand. 20 tons आपने दाल उगा ली थी. इस साल आपने दाल सिर्फ 15 टन उगाई, तो आप कहां से पूरी करोगे? तो हमारी सप्लाई से साइड में कंस्ट्रेंट आया है. That's why the price will rise. तो we are having a push factor which is causing the prices to rise and thus causing inflation. Samya, the question that why inflation is necessary, because unless you will have good demand, you will not be able to produce more. So to meet the demand, your supply has to be met, and supply can only be met if the production is continuing, and if the production is continuing, that means economy is moving. If production comes to a halt, that means supply will comes to a halt, that means economy is receding, economy is not doing good. Yes, but in the first case, Shriram, demand has increased. In the second case, supply has shortened. This is what the difference is. Alright, now we will be going through the monetary policy of RBI. When we talk about monetary policy, we will just discuss three factors. We will discuss SLR, we will discuss CRR, and we will discuss RR. So Forex is simple, that RBI is authorized to monitor the value of rupee in international market. We every day see कि इंडिया का रुपी करेंसी की वैल्यू $64 है, $65 है, $66 है, $62 है. So all this currency evaluation in international market is also being monitored by RBI. Also RBI is responsible for keeping the exact foreign currency value. आज हमारे पास कितनी forex है, this account is also being maintained by RBI. Clear? Okay. So now coming to our first function of RBI, which is the most important function, that is monetary policy. No Raghav, we wish that RBI could make, but it's not like this. The dollar and rupee value, they are now being handled in international market. Means what is the demand of Indian rupee in international market. So we cannot do this that it's according to us dollar works. It's like through the international market it works. When I say that RBI controls the value of rupee, what I mean, if the value of RBI starts falling down, then RBI intervenes to keep the exchange rate stable. And for this, they have to do certain transactions. They can buy their own currency, they can invest in gold, they can buy the shares, they can liquidate the shares. So when I say it regulates the forex value, I mean that they try to keep the currency exchange rate at a comfortable level. Chaitanya, why do we need foreign currency? A very simple answer is that not every country is endowed with all types of resources. That means we need to import. We don't have oil. We need to import, and we will import when we trade between the countries. We trade in international currency, which is dollar. Got it? Ompuri, your question was trade deficit. Simple. Trade deficit is now every country imports certain amounts of goods, every country exports certain amounts of goods. So the difference in the value of the imports and exports is your trade deficit. Like if again I say India exports 20 crore rupees of total goods and India imports 30 crores. So this value of 10 crore is your trade deficit. The imbalance between exports and imports for a particular country. $1 is equal to 1 rupee is like miraculously good for India if it happens certain day. That means that our country value has appreciated so much that we are at a par with the superpower US. It is not total Ompuri trade deficit. It is the multiple factors working in international market. Trade deficit is also there. Your gold is also there. your loans taken from different organizations, they also share, your total liabilities towards international banks, your total assets, all these factors are being calculated. So this is a like a huge exercise. We do not meet our trade deficit from anywhere class. Trade deficit means you need to produce more to keep it. That's why we are saying make in India. If we make in India, then we will make small little inputs, so we will reduce our dependency on China import. हम चाइना से कम इंपोर्ट करेंगे तो हमारा ट्रेड डेफिसिट कम होगा. तो अगर हमें ट्रेड डेफिसिट कम करना है, द ओनली आंसर लाइज इन दैट यू नीड टू प्रोड्यूस मोर. समथिंग विच इज बीइंग ज्योग्राफिकल वी कैन नॉट चेंज. हम तेल प्रोड्यूस नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि हमारे पास तेल बहुत कम है, वो हमें इंपोर्ट करना ही पड़ेगा. बट अगेन द सेकेंड पोर्शन जो हम बना सकते हैं, जो हम एक्सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं, उसमें हमें बढ़ानी पड़ेगी अपनी वैल्यूज. एंड इंपोर्ट हम जो अपने आप बना सकते हैं उसको हम इंपोर्ट ना करें, दैट इज अनदर ऑप्शन. लाइक एवरीथिंग वी टेक फ्रॉम चाइना, so let us make small quantities, small goods in India so that are reduce imports from China. Got it? Now we'll discuss these 4 points which we have written: SLR, CRR, RR, RRR. SLR is statutory liquidity ratio. First we will try to understand the concept. The concept goes like this: if I have taken 100 rupees as a deposit, then I cannot lend the entire 100 rupees to some other party. Try to go through our basic definition. Banking is an institutional mechanism where an institute takes deposits from customer, provides security to them and make advances to other customer. So the amount which we had taken from customer as a deposit, it is our liability and we need to repay them along with the interest. So if I take 100 rupees as a deposit, I cannot lend total 100 rupees. The reason is one line statement: all the loans and all the advances are accompanied by risk. What I mean is, मैंने लोन दिया और लोन मेरा बेकार हो गया. That means जो मैंने 10 रुपए लोन पे दिए थे, जिसपे मेरे को 12 रुपए आने थे, वो मेरे 10 रुपए डूब गए. डूबने का कारण कुछ भी हो सकता है. इंडस्ट्री फेल कर गई, जो प्रोजेक्ट लगाया था वो फेल कर गया, जिस काम के लिए आपने पैसा लिया था वो काम नहीं किया. बिकॉज ऑफ एक्स नंबर ऑफ फैक्टर्स योर एसेट कैन बी अ बैड एसेट. विजय माल्या एग्जैक्टली. सो नाउ द टोटल अमाउंट ऑफ डिपॉजिट्स यू हैव टेकन कैन नॉट बी गिवन एज अ advance. So it is for this purpose that we have two ratios, SLR and CRR. Statutory liquidity ratio means that the total deposits which are with individual bank, a certain percentage of these deposits are not allowed to be given as an advance. The current percentage at present is 20.50%. So every bank has to keep 20.50% of its assets as a security which they will not give on advance. Got it? Similarly, CRR. CRR is cash reserve ratio. Cash reserve ratio at present is 4%. Cash means the deposits which are with banks in form of cash. 4% of that deposit is to be kept at RBI, which is again you cannot lend. So what SLR means is statutory liquidity ratio. Understand class again. The deposits at banks are not only in the form of cash. Sometimes we go and deposit gold. Sometimes we go and deposit bonds. Sometimes we go and deposit government securities. So all these are forms of deposits. So among all such deposits, the 20.5% has to be kept untouched, from which advances cannot be made. And CRR, what we are talking about is total cash deposit. तो जो हमारा कैश डिपॉजिट होगा उसका 4% हम आरबीआई के पास रखेंगे. जब हम बात करते हैं ओमपुरी 4% आरबीआई के रखने की, तो इट डजंट मीन कि हम आरबीआई के पास फिजिकल कैपेसिटी में जाके रख रहे हैं. व्हाट वी मीन इज जो आरबीआई की करेंसी चेस्ट ब्रांच है उसके पास आरबीआई में पैसा हमारा सेव रहता है. दैट 4% इज अगेन ब्लॉक्ड फ्रॉम एडवांसिंग. द साइकोलॉजी इज कि हम उसको एडवांस पे नहीं चढ़ाएंगे. शिल्पा, द आंसर टू योर क्वेश्चन 20.50 इज अगेन स्टैटिस्टिकल. वो आरबीआई कैलकुलेट करता है कि कितना पैसा हमें सेफ रखना चाहिए जिससे डिपॉजिटर्स का इंटरेस्ट भी बचा रहे और एडवांस भी हम देते रहें ताकि इकोनॉमी हमारी मूव करती रहे. सो दिस इज द फंक्शन विच इज बीइंग डिसाइडेड बाय आरबीआई थ्रू इट्स रिगरस अप्रोच. इनके पास स्टैटिस्टिकल टेक्निक्स होती हैं, टूल्स होते हैं मेजर करने के. सो दिस इज अ टिपिकल इकोनॉमिक्स साइंस which you need to know. Definitely formula होगा, but again for that we need to go to RBI or we need to go to the economic services, or you can understand it in MBA, probably they might tell you. Alright, moving ahead, we have two more rates to discuss. We have repo rate and we have reverse repo rate. Hari, CRR is not calculated every year, it's fixed, it's keep on going every day, every hour. जो भी आपका टोटल कैश रहेगा उसका 4% आपको एंड ऑफ द डे में ऐसा रखना पड़ेगा कि आप एडवांस नहीं चढ़ाओगे. और प्रियेश, दिस इज अ वेरी हिपोथेटिकल सिचुएशन. इफ ऑल वांट देयर मनी एट द सेम टाइम, सो गवर्नमेंट शुड बी और बैंक शुड बी इन अ पोजीशन टू पे देम. इट्स देयर राइट. Should be factors, again what I told you, factors to be determined are more complex. How your economy is doing, how much production is being made, how much consumption is being made. So all these things, they are the different parameters. So this is the very competent functioning. It is not a by whims you do it. मेरे मन में आया आज मैंने 20.5 कर दिया, मेरे मन में आया मैंने 21 कर दिया. It's not like this. Proper calculations, proper study, proper researches are to be done before deciding these rates, which are being done by RBI at their own level. Done? Can we move ahead? Okay. Coming to repo rate class. Repo rate is the rate at which RBI lends to commercial banks for short term. I am repeating. Yes, Srinath. SLR and CRR are same for all the banks. RBI decides this limit and all the banks have to follow the same interest rate. In percentage terms they are same, but remember in absolute terms they will be different. SBI के टोटल डिपॉजिट का 4% अलग होगा, PNB के डिपॉजिट का 4% अलग होगा, इलाहाबाद बैंक के डिपॉजिट का 4% अलग होगा. Percent will remain same, but absolute value will be different. Got it? ओमपुरी कंफ्यूजन कुछ नहीं है. CRR में आप सिर्फ पैसे की बात कर रहे हो जो कैश है, 100 के नोट, 1000 के नोट, 2000 के नोट. जब हम SLR की बात करें तो हर तरह का डिपॉजिट, उसमें आपका गवर्नमेंट की सिक्योरिटी भी है, आपकी LIC के बॉन्ड भी हैं, आपका गोल्ड भी है. तो हर तरीके का बॉन्ड जो मेरा है, डेट इज माई लिक्विड एसेट्स, उसका 20.5% और जो टोटल कैश है उसका 4%. आई गेस सिंपल है, इट्स नॉट सो हार्ड. ऑलराइट, ओमपुरी डन. नो चैतन्य, CRR 4% is different, SLR 20.5% is different. CRR just cash, true. They don't need to Prachi, because again if they will do it, they will violate the RBI guidelines, and if they will violate, then RBI has the power to punish. So no bank will prefer getting been reprimanded. Alright, now moving ahead. Focus on repo rate class. Repo rate is the interest charged by RBI on commercial banks for short term loan. Let us say or think of a situation. आज at present मेरे को मार्केट में पैसा देने की रिक्वायरमेंट है. Every bank they keep on receiving loan proposals. So sometimes their available amount is not sufficient enough to finance the loans. In such circumstances, RBI provides short-term loans to commercial banks to meet their present financial obligations. Now that rate is very important from economy point of view. Understand? Let us say at present your repo rate is 6%. So RBI can enhance it to 7%, and RBI can decrease it to 5% or RBI can keep it 6%. I am repeating again. Every quarterly the monetary policy is being reviewed and your repo rate is either being increased or decreased or it remains same. For every 3 occasions we have, Umang will come back, try to understand the concept first. For every 3 we need a certain types of ideology. So let us say if RBI is charging and increasing from 6 to 7%, what does it mean? It means that earlier I was taking 106 rupees on 100 rupees, but now I am charging you 107 rupees on same 100 rupees. What I mean is that I am not very happy to give loan, क्योंकि अगर मैं कमर्शियल बैंक को लोन पे बढ़ाऊंगा वो कस्टमर्स पे बढ़ाएंगे तो ऑब्वियसली लोन का हमारा क्या होगा, ग्रोथ कम होगी. In economic terms, this means that if I am increasing the repo rate, I am trying to extract the liquidity from the market. These are important words. By increasing the repo rate, I mean that I am trying to extract the liquidity from the market. I am not very much interested in giving money in the market. Reason is that already जो हमारे पास मार्केट में पैसा है वो यूटिलाइज नहीं हो रहा है. The expected production is not being met. Try to come through now second point. If I try to decrease it, मैं 6% से कम करके 5% कर देता हूं, तो अब मेरे को 100 रुपए पे 105 ही चाहिए. What does this mean? That I am now comfortable even in 105 rupees. So that means I want to infuse liquidity in the market, and when I want to infuse liquidity in the market, that means I want the companies to produce more. So let's now conclude. If I am increasing the repo rate, not a good sign for economy, because we want to extract liquidity from the market. We decrease the repo rate, positive sign for the economy. We want to infuse liquidity in the market, and this is a chain process. RBI बढ़ाएगा तो बैंक बढ़ाएगा तो कस्टमर लोन कम लेगा. RBI घटाएगा तो बैंक्स घटाएंगे तो कस्टमर्स लोन ज्यादा लेंगे तो हमारी प्रोडक्शन स्टार्ट होगी. So this is the basic funda of your repo rate. Got it? Priyanka, case numbers first will cause inflation, because if you are increasing the amount, that means already market में जो पैसा है that is not being used, यूज नहीं हो रहा है, तो that means प्रोडक्शन नहीं हो रही है तो सेम सप्लाई कम है, that means आपके प्राइस के रेट बढ़ेंगे. जब मैं पैसा घटा रहा हूं, इंटरेस्ट रेट घटा रहा हूं, that means I am infusing liquidity will go to market, things will be produced, supply will be more, demand will be met, production cost will be down, your inflation will come down. Okay, alright. Now reverse repo rate is simple. Like RBI charges on lending, reverse repo rate is the interest rate which RBI gives to bank on their deposits. एक तरीके से RBI से अगर लोन ले रहा है तो RBI चार्ज करता है रेपो रेट. RBI के पास अगर बैंक्स अपना पैसा रख रहे हैं तो RBI उनको इंटरेस्ट देता है, that is रिवर्स रेपो रेट. इन द केस जैसे हम बैंक्स में जाके सेविंग डिपॉजिट में 4% इंटरेस्ट लेते हैं, सिमिलरली RBI also give interest to banks. Current repo rate, please check it on the RBI website, but I guess it's 6.25 or 6.5, but check it. Yes, it's 6.25. Fine, thanks Smith, thanks. Reverse repo rate by default is 0.50 less than your repo rate. Alright, now last topic of the day class, we will discuss demonetization. What do we mean by demonetization? Is withdrawal of the currency as a legal tender. Yes, Sriram, do ask. Sriram, your question, withdrawal, why can't we print currency to clear? अगेन द क्वेश्चन इज सेम, अगर आप करेंसी बहुत ज्यादा छाप लोगे और आपकी करेंसी की मार्केट में डिमांड नहीं है, आप डॉलर कहां से लाओगे? आप रुपीज ही तो छाप सकते हो, बट यू आर सपोज टू पे इन डॉलर्स. गेटिंग इट? एवरीथिंग नेहा, एवरीथिंग. All these things are the factors which try to calculate your rupees value. Interbank deposit rates. Gagan, rephrase your question. What is interbank deposit rates? Basis points is simple. 1% is equal to 100 basis point. 1% reduce means 100 basis point reduction. LIBOR is your London interbank interest rate. तो जो आपका लंदन का मार्केट चलता है उसमें लाइबर रेट की वैल्यू होती है. नो प्रियंका, बैंक रेट्स एंड रेपो रेट्स आर डिफरेंट. व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट बैंक रेट, इट इज द रेट व्हिच आरबीआई चार्जेस ऑन बैंक फॉर लॉन्ग टर्म पीरियड. एक ही बार में लोन दे दिया 20, 25, 30 साल के लिए, वो बैंक रेट होता है. जब हम बात कर रहे हैं रेपो रेट की, दिस इज द चार्ज इंटरेस्ट रेट फॉर अ शॉर्ट टर्म ड्यूरेशन, not exceeding 1 year at a time. Alright, now let's conclude demonetization. First of all class, demonetization we have talked, it's a withdrawal of some particular denomination currency as a legal tender. The official term is legal tender. The points given by government are, first of all they are saying to meet the counterfeit. Second, they are saying black money, and third, they are saying to curb terrorism. Kanan, bank rate is not repo rate. Let me repeat again. Bank rate जो है RBI चार्ज करता है, but it is for a longer term. एक बार दे दिया 20-25 साल के लिए, यूज करते रहो. Repo rate is for a shorter term, not exceeding more than a year. And these rates are also different. Bank rate I guess is somewhere around 6%. Repo rate is some 6.25. Rishabh, you cannot say that demonetization was a good scheme but ultimately resulted in a complete failure. Try to understand. Not even your MBA result comes in a month. MBA के रिजल्ट को अभी आने में टाइम लगेगा. आप एग्जाम देते हो, रिजल्ट आता है, उसके बाद इंटरव्यू होता है, उसके बाद फाइनल मेरिट आती है. तो हाउ कैन यू एक्सपेक्ट कि डीमोनेटाइजेशन जैसे इतने बड़े स्टेप का रिजल्ट you will be able to figure out in a month or 50 days or 100 days. Getting me? So to decide failure or to decide success, it is a long process. तो इसकी बात हम आज नहीं करेंगे, इसकी बात हम 1 साल बाद करेंगे. इस 1 साल तक तो ये आपका डिमोनेटाइजेशन इफेक्ट रहेगा. आपका इतना सारा पैसा जो पैरेलल इकोनॉमी या शैडो इकोनॉमी में चल रहा था, all that amount has either been burnt, has either been flowed down in your rivers or has been deposited in the banks. So now the black money or the shadow economy or the parallel economy is zero. So your industry's output will decrease, your buying will decrease, your production will decrease, everything will now see a slump. So it's not good to say, or it's not right to say that it is a failure. First of all, for any scheme, try to see or try to learn the objective. What is the objective? An objective I have written on the board. To check the counterfeit currency. First point. समझो, मैंने कितने 500 के नोट छापे हैं और कितने 1000 के नोट छापे हैं. RBI has a record. RBI also has a record कितने मार्केट्स में आपकी सर्कुलेशन है. तो नोट तो मैंने छापे 100 और मार्केट में नोट घूम रहे हैं 200. हाउ कैन दिस बी पॉसिबल? सो डेट मीन्स बहुत ज्यादा जाली नोट आपके मार्केट में आ रहे हैं. जाली नोट आ रहे हैं तो दिस वाज वन ऑब्जेक्टिव टू कर्ब. सेकंड, ब्लैक मनी. वी ऑल आर अवेयर, नोबडी इज द पर्सन जिसको ब्लैक मनी के बारे में ना पता हो. हमारे अपने घर में हमको पता होता है व्हाट वी आर अर्निंग, व्हाट आवर पेरेंट्स आर अर्निंग, and what accounts we are giving to government, how much tax we are giving to government, whether it is a salaried class or it is a private venture or it is a business class. Everyone has black money. This was second objective. And third objective was वो जो मेरी counterfeit currency आ रही थी, that was being used to proliferate terrorism. सो ये तीन ऑब्जेक्टिव मेरे थे. इन तीन ऑब्जेक्टिव को मीट करने के लिए आई डिसाइडेड टू विड्रॉ माई 500 and 1000 rupees notes. Point 1. Counterfeit is jali currency, Srinath. Nakli note, very simple. Now the second point comes where we are saying it's a complete failure. We should not be driven by the media, by the news channels, or even by the opposition. You should have your own viewpoint. So definitely problems are there. People are standing up in queues. We are witnessing some deaths also. But again, for any scheme to be successful, you need to comprehend in the larger interest of the country. जब कंट्री में कोई पॉलिसी बनती है, वो किसी एक पर्टिकुलर सेक्ट के लिए नहीं बनती है, वो किसी एक पर्टिकुलर फैमिली के लिए नहीं बनती है, वो किसी एक पर्टिकुलर एरिया के लिए नहीं बनती है. That scheme is for the interest of an overall country. So, Ashu, your question is demonetization a good move? Again, I am saying this is not a right time to evaluate. The evaluation of demonetization will be next year. For another 1 year, your currency has to come in market, your production needs to improve. That time will tell. That you will be able to comprehend, and not me or you will tell. Statistics will tell. What our growth rate has been, GDP rate मेरी कितनी बढ़ी है, how have the prices fallen, all these things, the time after a certain period, ये जो मेरा gestation period चल रहा है जिसमें मैंने withdraw करा है and money is again coming. So this is a time जो मेरे को gestation period को absorb करना पड़ेगा. Let everything settle, let industries settle, let businessmen settle, let new rules and regulation keep on settling down, and then we'll be able to decide after a certain period of time gap that whether it was a good move or it was a bad move. But just keeping in knowledge the objectives. Nobody will throw their money in water or drains or nalas for no use. Just simple. अगर आप पैसा नाले में फेंक रहे हो, that means आप चोरी कर रहे थे, और आप चोरी कर रहे थे तो obviously move अच्छा है. It is in the larger interest of the country. Ompuri again, Manmohan Singh said, in the long run we are all dead. Let us see. After a certain year, if we are all dead, Manmohan Singh was right. If we are living, that means Manmohan Singh was wrong. Because he is also saying in the long run, na, and long run is not your 50 days or 100 days. Long run means a year or 2 or 3. Then somebody is asking me about Mamata Banerjee is mad or not. Sayan, we need to go to Kolkata. Anytime we can go, we can identify. How will terrorism removed? Terrorism is being financed. तो टेररिस्ट जो होते हैं हमारे, उनके पास जो वेपन्स आते हैं, उसमें अगर मेरी नकली करेंसी चल रही है मार्केट में, वो उनको पड़ जाता है चीप. ऋषभ, आई एम नॉट गेटिंग योर क्वेश्चन. विच न्यूट्रल स्टैंड यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट? आयशा, द आंसर टू योर क्वेश्चन इज द सुपरविजन. अभी आपने भी न्यूज में सुना होगा, हर जगह से बहुत सारी करेंसी पकड़ी जा रही है, and all our income tax officials, all our information directorate officials, they are charging up. Now the income tax is becoming more stringent, authorities are becoming vigilant, people are being given show cause notices. जिसके पैसे डिपॉजिट हुए हैं, they all are coming under the income tax radar. So आगे टाइम में क्या होगा, दोबारा सिचुएशन आएगी. Again, this is a matter of time. This we have to leave upon the future few months. Umang, do you think 2000 rupees note will be withdrawn in future as higher the denomination, weaker is the country's economy? Again, cannot say. We need to discuss with all those economic think tanks. But yes, this is there that for the stronger the economy, the denominations will be less. Arjun, this move will affect GDP. You know, GDP is gross domestic product, and gross domestic product is your value of goods and services produced in a particular year. So अगर पैसा मेरे पास कम हो जाएगा, वो जो मेरा ब्लैक मनी मार्केट में चल रहा था जिसके वजह से मेरी प्रोडक्शन होती थी, अगर वो प्रोडक्शन डिप करेगी तो माय वैल्यू ऑफ गुड्स एंड सर्विस विल डिप. दैट डिप विल मीन जीडीपी विल डिप, एंड वी कैन एक्सपेक्ट अ फॉल डेफिनेटली इन दिस क्वार्टर. 100% डिप आएगा. आशु, दिस कैन नॉट बी कॉल्ड अ स्टैटिस्टिकल मिस्टेक. Let us be sure. So it is strategy, we can say, it is statistical move, we can say. As of now, I cannot see it's a mistake. because more the value of the currency in the demography or in the social setup we are living, so larger currency will not be wasted in a movement. GST ratio is goods and services tax, that we can cover in the next session because today's time is almost over, and that is again a good topic, big topic, so we will take it up again. Fine. On this next session you need to discuss with your admin department, just post them mail, they will let you know. NPAs, Abhishek, again non-performing assets, not a difficult topic. You are my asset, I have given you 100 rupees, you will give me 110 rupees, but you failed, you are not even able to pay me 20 rupees. Again Vijay Mallya case. So NPA is non-performing assets. Alright Sriram, thank you so much. Alright, we'll be closing up with this session. My name is Ravi Khokhar. Thank you class, thank you so much.